Episode 13, Shameless Student. Upon hearing those words, Deanna smiled faintly. Although this roundabout manner of insulting another meant nothing on earth, it was an incomparably novel concept here. Seeing Deanna's expression, Stuart felt that he was being mocked. His face flushed before turning pale. However, in front of Deanna, he was determined to maintain a good appearance. Thus, he didn't dare attack Xavier directly. Why? Is there something wrong with my words? Suppressing his anger, Stuart sneered.
There isn't a single person who doesn't know what your standards are in the entire academy. This little fatty came to my classroom previously. Fat like a pig. He only knows how to defend and nothing else. The strength behind his fist is only a mere 33 pounds. He must be either the first or second from the bottom in the entrance examination. So, if he isn't trash, what is he?
Although Stuart was resisting the urge to teach Xavier a lesson physically, he could still attempt to strike him with words. The first from the bottom in the entrance examination. Xavier had only paid attention to the Emperor bloodline and wasn't aware of such a situation. He turned around to look at Alan.
Who says that I'm first from the bottom?
Alan responded confidently. He then scratched his head in embarrassment.
I am only in 9,997th place.
9,997th place? Only? A faint spell suddenly came over Xavier. He felt sick. Englewood Academy only accepted 10,000 students every year. Although it recruited so many, there were always several students who failed to report due to several reasons. 9,997th place? You might as well be in last place. With such a low ranking, how could Alan be so confident? Xavier felt as though he hadn't fully woken up.
It can't be that you accept anyone. It can't be that you accept anyone who is a student.
Stuart sneered again. Then, flinging his sleeves, he declared arrogantly,
I have a clear requirement when accepting students. I don't accept anyone who is below the 500th in rank. The teacher and the student, who are both first from the bottom. How compatible.
Are you done talking? Xavier simply shook his head. If so, you can leave. Previously, he had examined Alan clearly with the Library of Heaven's Path. He was a wandering cultivator, so it was normal for him to know no cultivation technique nor martial arts. As long as he could find a way to activate his Emperor bloodline, his cultivation would thrive.
You...
If it had been someone else, being mocked to such an extent, they would have been trembling from anger. However, Xavier didn't even bat an eyelid. For Stuart's attack to land on thin air, his face turned even uglier.
It seems that rotten wood cannot be carved.
After a cold humph, Stuart looked at Deanna beside him and said,
Deanna, let's go. If we stay with this kind of trash for too long, we might become contaminated.
Hearing Stuart's direct sarcasm, Deanna frowned. Rather than leaving, she turned around and called out,
Xavier!
Her voice was like a songbird, clear and enchanting, stirring up complex emotions in her listeners. Xavier never imagined that the Academy's prettiest teacher would ever initiate a conversation with him. He was taken aback.
Although the previous time you didn't score so well for your teacher qualification examination, do not give up on yourself. Work hard, and you will find yourself rewarded in the end.
Deanna nodded her head in encouragement. From her point of view, Xavier accepting one of the worst students meant that he had given up on himself. Even if she didn't fancy Xavier, she didn't like the idea of him wallowing in his failures. Thank you for your advice. He knew that she was genuinely concerned for him. Xavier nodded in return, explaining, "This student, although he might not be anything now, could turn out to be a jade. As long as I guide him properly, it's possible for him to shine." Deanna didn't say anything else. She began to walk away. She thought that Xavier's explanation was only an excuse. Given Alan's size and lack of basic knowledge at his age, there was bound to be a limit to his future achievements.
Darn it!
Seeing Deanna talking to the worst teacher in the academy and even sharing words of encouragement with him, Stuart's face distorted savagely. The inferno in his heart raged as he stared at Xavier coldly before following behind Deanna.
Deanna, it is better for you to avoid contact with these kinds of people. It will ruin your reputation.
Stuart, I am a little tired today and would like to rest. Please don't follow me.
Before Stuart could finish speaking, Deanna turned around to leave.
Damn it! Damn it! Xavier, just you wait. I will get you back for this.
He watched as Deanna walked further and further away before she disappeared from sight. At that moment, he had already directed all of his anger towards Xavier. In his opinion, if it hadn't been for Xavier, Deanna would have definitely had dinner with him. How could it be possible for her to turn around to leave? "Since you have acknowledged me as your teacher, you must know where my classroom is," Xavier asked Alan. After both had left, Xavier had turned his attention back towards Alan. "Great!" Alan hurriedly stood up and smiled at him.
Now that I am your student, can you tell me which teacher you are in the academy?"
Hearing his words, Xavier rubbed his forehead in frustration. This boy, to think that he acknowledged whichever teacher he managed to set his eyes upon, not even clarifying Xavier's identity beforehand. "I am Xavier Matthews," he responded.
"Mr. Xavier Matthews? Mr. Matthews, who scored first from the bottom for the teacher qualification examination? Not to mention a 0?
At this moment, Alan finally realized who he had acknowledged as his teacher. His lips began to twitch, and he felt as if he were about to cry. "That's me." Xavier nodded his head.
"Ah, that Mr. Matthews."
Alan scratched his head.
"Seeing how I am weak and dim-witted, not to mention quite plump, why don't you take me out from your lessons?"
Xavier stared at him in disbelief.
"Teacher, I am being serious over here. The 2 teachers from a moment ago have also said it. If you don't expel me from your instruction, your reputation would be ruined. I am afraid of pulling you down with me."
"I am not afraid of being pulled down. Besides, now that we have verified our relationship through the identity token, I only have a sentence for you. You will live as my student and die as my student. Stop talking about useless things here." Xavier waved his hand. Alan's face distorted, holding back tears. Due to his weakness, he wanted to acknowledge a good student so that his future could be boundless. However, he never dreamed that the last place student would be paired with the last place teacher. "Why is my life so difficult?" he thought. "All right, this is my classroom. Now, claim your bedding and remember to come to lessons right on the dot tomorrow," Xavier ordered impatiently.
"This classroom..."
Looking at the size of the classroom, Alan found himself on the verge of tears yet again. Even the locations where he had taken his entrance examination were much bigger than this. A classroom of this size probably couldn't hold many students.
"Teacher, if I don't come tomorrow, would you expel me?"
Expelled? That I won't. However, I will throw you into the lake which you wanted to jump into to feed the turtles." Xavier nodded his head seriously. "Didn't I say it? You will live as my student and die as my student. Relax, I will fulfill the role of teacher and bury you properly."
"Teacher!"
Alan interrupted him. With a serious face and unwavering will in his eyes, he asked,
"What time do we start lessons tomorrow? I will come in advance to clean the classroom. It is my honor to meet with such a great teacher. In the future, no matter who wants to accept me as their student, I will reject them firmly."
Initially, Xavier thought of himself as shameless. However, he never expected that one of his students would be even more shameless than he.